Hi, my name is Afra Sulfikher. I'm the chairperson of the Women's Wing at the Professional Alliance of Indian Radiographers at the United Kingdom. Welcome to our special International Women's Day podcast session. Today, we celebrate women's leadership, courage, and ingenuity in healthcare. And there is no field where this matters more than in radiography. Radiography has been at the forefront of patient care, innovation, education, and service development across the NHS and beyond. Over the next few sessions, we'll be hearing from some outstanding leaders who each represent different facets of this journey, from national professional leadership to operational clinical expertise to advancing clinical practice and education. And these conversations are not just about career successes, but they are rather a journey of inspiration, a story about barriers that were broken and the paths they are helping to create for the next generation of young radiographers. We will be spotlighting some remarkable women who have helped shape radiography as a profession and continue to drive excellence, innovation, and inclusion on a day to day basis. Thank you for joining us. Let's get inspired. How are you today?
I'm so good. How are you?
Well, not too bad. Thank you very much. For people who do not know Epiphania Muranda, well known as Epi, is an accomplished advanced practice interventional radiographer and clinical lead in interventional radiology at Manchester University Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust. With more than a decade of dedicated service within the National Health Service, she represents clinical excellence, integrity, and compassionate patient-centered care working in the highly specialized and traditionally male dominated field of interventional radiology. EPI has consistently broken barriers while maintaining the highest standards of safety, innovation, and professionalism. She combines advanced technical expertise with calm, confident leadership, ensures that patients receive outstanding care during some of their most vulnerable moments. So, Epi is a clinical lead and she is deeply committed to developing her team, nurturing talent, and championing inclusive excellence. She also fosters a culture of respect, collaboration, and continuous improvement, empowering colleagues to succeed and deliver exceptional outcomes. Epi depicts the very best of the NHS, to be fair, and leading with purpose. She leads with courage, and she has an unshakable commitment to service. Epi, welcome to the podcast. It's my
Thank
pleasure to
you.
have you on board, and I
Thank
wish you
you.
a very happy International Women's Day. As
Thank
always,
you.
it's lovely to catch up with you once again.
Yeah.
So, Epi, interventional radiology is a highly technical and historically male dominated environment. Obviously, things are changing in the recent past. So, what initially drew you to the specialty? And did you ever question whether you belonged there?
Oh, wow. I never questioned why I belonged there. Interventional radiology drew me because it sits, at the intersection of care, innovation, and life-changing impact. So to me, it is a specialty with technical proficiency that meets immediate patient change. That combination to me resonated deeply with me. And I am purpose-driven person and very ambitious, not for the title, but for impact. From the beginning, I was so much drawn to the field, where skill, care, courage, critical thinking, is directly over the course of someone's life within minutes, really, it can change somebody's life. So I never questioned whether I belonged. I believe that it was my willingness to commit to excellence, to outwork limitations, and to continuously refine my own profession. And I had every right to stand in that space. Belonging is not granted by tradition, it
Sure.
is affirmed by competence, integrity, and consistency. So historically, it's a male dominant environment, but I chose not to focus on being different. I chose to focus on being excellent. So my purpose anchored me, my passion, it just added some fuel. So it's like fueled me, and my ambition had to give me discipline that I had to focus. So interventional radiology to me doesn't intimidate me, but it challenges me to
Sure.
be who I am. And I've always believed that challenge is where my growth can be found. And that's where my growth lives. So that's me, Never.
That's absolutely brilliant, Epi. You know, I think that is exactly the kind of motivation that the young generation probably wants to hear, isn't it? Because there is often some confusion between, the young radiographers. You know, if I am actually apt for this particular modality, and that's probably with almost every modality in radiology, isn't it? And
Yeah.
when it comes to your leadership in a particular in interventional radiology in particular, I think that's absolutely outstanding. So, on that note, can you share a moment in your leadership journey where you felt you were not just representing yourself, but rather representing women more broadly? And how did that shape your confidence?
Actually, I'm going to give you two scenarios because I've got many, but at least for today, I can share only two scenarios. Number one, during a safeguarding meeting at Manchester University Foundation Trust, I'm one of the champion. I opted to deliver a session where we talk about health and well-being of staff experience domestic violence, because I found out that it's a loophole and it's a taboo for people because they don't freely talk about it. And sometimes we look at our colleagues and we label them lazy, we label them they are always late, we look at them with a different eye. So I knew I was not just going to speak, as an advanced practitioner in interventional radiology or as a clinical leader, but these titles vanishes at any time. So I was speaking as a woman representing many women out there that suffers in silence. So domestic abuse, like I said, is a taboo topic, where people shy away from talking about it. So
Yeah.
particularly, within our profession environments where we have always to show our strength and resilience, we are expected to show these things, isn't it? Put up a face, and we are told to look after our patients and more, and make sure we safeguard them. But who is safeguarding this stuff? So, as I highlighted, the hidden emotional that I've seen in other people, psychological and, physical toll on some of my colleagues or some of the colleagues that I've seen, I felt the weight of responsibility as a woman in position, yet I also felt transparent. So, breaking the silence gave me and gave others the permission, you know to acknowledge their reality. That moment strengthened me so much because it strengthened my confidence because I was able to stand for 19 minutes talking about domestic violence and giving example that a lot of people were shocked to hear that these things do happen. And imagine auditing someone who is always late every day without stopping and questioning them. How are you? Is everything at home okay? So we don't do that, isn't it? But I had to challenge that narrative. Personally, I had to choose courage over comfort. I realize leadership is not only about clinical excellence, but it's about advocacy, compassionate, and creating safe spaces where vulnerability is met with support rather than stigma. So that is one of my moments. I felt my confidence boosted, and I felt like I'm not just standing for myself. And I'm standing for other people. Yeah, so I don't know if you want me to go ahead with the second scenario.
Yeah, go ahead,
Just a
Epi.
quick one, yeah.
It's always inspirational. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So this one is when I stood, at the ADC and at the two conference, and I seconded a motion addressing the challenges that are faced by international radiographers entering the United Kingdom to work within the NHS or within the private sectors, the challenges that they are facing. I spoke about system differences, cultural adjustments, homesickness, immigration, complicities, financial pressures. Again, I understood that I was not just more than myself, representing myself, but I was giving a voice to professionals who are highly skilled, yet often navigating isolation. To me, that is a challenge behind quiet professionalism. And sharing these realities to me also affirmed my commitment to inclusive excellence. That experience shaped my confidence profoundly. It reminded me that leadership, just leadership, means standing in the gap for others, not just for me. And when we address these, taboo topics that are shied to talk about, then we break the systematic barriers openly, and we do more than raise issues. We shift the culture, the normal, what we call norm, and then we affirm the belonging, and then we strengthen, the very fabric of NHS staff members. Everyone will feel valued and heard, rather than, just thinking I'm late again, and people they are already worried because of lateness, but nobody has ever stopped to say, "Are you okay? Is everything at home? Why is there anything that we can help you?" If people receive care, and if people receive someone who understands them, they'll be able to open up. And then we support them. This again, we reduce, the detrimental effects on their health, and then it can promote their health and well-being, and then we can have healthier teams that can support our patients properly. That's how I perceive this. Yeah, thank you.
Epi, you've just mentioned some really relatable and strong, what to say, what's the right word for that? It's the reality of every radiographer who enters radiography,
Yeah,
and a reality for every international radiographer who comes into the UK or
yeah,
any other country which is not where they were trained, for instance, isn't it?
yeah,
And like you said, as a leader, it is so important that you actually have to split yourself into multiple pieces in order to be able to support that.
yeah.
And often people forget that the radiographer that you see or we work with is also potentially a mother, a daughter, a wife,
Mm,
and so many more responsibilities in the society that they are living in. And we're only humans to not be the same every day, isn't it?
yeah.
So as a leader that you are, and as a a lead that you are in such a high pressure setting that IRS, Epi,
Mhm.
how do you balance your technical excellence with compassion for patients and for your team?
That's a good question. Excellence to me is not measured by accuracy or the skill of care that we have got, but it's measured by the depth of humanity. We should all run one race, and that is human race. If we fail to run that race of human race, then we cannot balance. As a clinical lead in interventional in my trust MFT, I have learned that technical brilliance and compassion are not competing priorities. They are inseparable. So in a high pressure environment where decisions are time critical and complexity is constant, culture determines whether we simply cope or truly just excel. We begin each day in my department with a positive quote. I like bringing up a positive quote so that we set the scene. Sometimes a short reflective of prayer. I'm very mindful, of we are diverse, and I include everyone. We've got Muslim, we've got Hindu, we've got, so I just give everyone an opportunity. Guys, are we ready? Do you want us to pray? So every one of us, we pray together, for those who value it. And to me, I found out that it brings us together
Sure.
despite our different beliefs. But one thing that brings us together is prayer, and always ensuring inclusion, that every team member is feeling respected and comfortable. That intentional pause grounds us. It reminds us that before we are clinicians, we are professionals, we are humans. We should not forget, because those titles, like I said, they all go. Our morning hurdles, it is an opportunity for us to focus, and purposeful. They have to be purposeful. We have to discuss patient, anticipate any challenges, and agree how we run the day as a team rather than allowing the day to run us. So we choose to run the day rather than allowing the day to run us. This shared ownership strengthens accountability and unity because everybody will know what they're supposed to do. At the end of the day, we do what we call debrief. We reflect on the lesson learned, raise concerns, and celebrate one another through genuine recognition. If someone really point out something that everybody missed, we applaud for that person because that could have caused detrimental effects on a patient. So we applaud for them. These moments often, create open communication and
Sure.
mutual respect, transform pressure into collective resilience. So it's not about me alone, and this one is not about me. It's about we. And I always say, if I say I, it's like I illness. Well, we say wellness, isn't it? That way. So by promoting psychological safety, clear communication, and constant respect, we protect both technical excellence and compassion. These balances ensure our patients receive safe, high quality of care delivered to them with dignity and with our team, while our teams as well remain supported and valued and empowered to succeed and flourish despite the complexity that may arise. So all these things is like a roadmap for our day before we start the day, especially the course. I love that because it promotes us to come together, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And particularly in the NHS now, we are such a massively diverse
Yeah.
community. I think that's the right word, probably, isn't it? We have all come from different parts of the world mostly, and we get together and we work towards the same goal.
Mm,
So many young radiographers, especially women, and particularly those from the minority backgrounds, may see you, Epi, as a proof of what is possible, because you have actually, worked really hard to where you've come to today. So what
mm.
responsibility do you think actually comes with being visible that way?
Okay, yeah. Feasibility is both an honor and a responsibility. As a clinical lead within my trust, MFT, if I may say in abbreviation, and as part of the NHS workforce, I'm aware for many young radiographers, especially women and those from minority backgrounds, representation it matters so much. It
Sure.
matters deeply. To be visible is to carry unspoken hope of others who may be questioning whether there is space for them at the table. It means understanding that my presence in leadership is not just personal achievement, but possibility made evident. With that comes the responsibility to lead with integrity, excellence, and authenticity. I must be intentional about opening doors, mentoring generously, not because I want something, and challenging systems that unconsciously exclude. So, visibility requires courage to speak up in rooms where decisions shape futures, like I talked about ADC conference and trade union conference. It demands consistency between what I say and how I act. Because sometimes we can say something and we don't walk the walk. Most importantly, it caused me to remain human, to share not only success, but the journey, the setbacks, and the lessons that I've learned. Because true inspirational does not come from perfection, it comes from resilience, growth, and the determination to rise, you know, and bring others with you.
No,
Yeah.
sure, absolutely. I think again some very powerful points shared there, Epi. But now, we have addressed the community, we have addressed the young generation of radiographers, yeah. But now, for the last question, coming back to yourself, Epi, yeah. So, if you could speak directly to a young woman hesitating to pursue interventional radiology, what would
Mm.
you say to her tonight?
Well, come along. If I could speak directly to a young woman hesitating to pursue interventional radiology, I would say this with absolute confession. You belong in the room before you walk into it. Your belonging is already there. IR, interventional radiology, may seem intimidating. It is fast paced, most of the time, especially when you do vascular. I am currently doing non-vascular. It can
Right.
be highly technical because you have to understand, all these DSAs, you need to understand roadmaps and all this kind of a thing, all the technicality in it. And it's still largely, male consultant dominated, a lot of male anyway. But one should not confuse tradition and limitation. Your presence is not exclusion. It is a growth and it is evolution. It is what you decide to be. I always say, be who you are, be real, be authentic. Do not shrink yourself to fit spaces that were not designed with you in mind. Instead, expand those spaces with your excellence, your intelligence, and your compassion. Your perspective as a woman, as an individual with you know, with your own lived experience, it is not weakness, it is strength. So follow your dreams and your purpose persistently. There will be moments of doubt. Of course, I've doubted myself so many times, but do not let temporal discomfort define your permanent destiny. Seek mentors. Like I've got Afra now, she's my mentor, even if she doesn't know. So
Oh my
seek
goodness.
mentors, build competence with confidence, ask questions boldly. Do not hesitate. And I know there are some people who are very anti, they don't like to be asked questions, but ask with boldness, with genuinity. Take up opportunities even before you feel fully ready. I'm not saying, there's an English phrase that says, fake it until you make it, isn't it? But but what I'm saying is just be enthusiastic. Growth rarely waits for a perfect timing. You have to start, and then perfection will come along the way. And most importantly, never let fear, biases, and opinion of other people deter you or stop you. Become unstoppable. The field needs skilled hands, sharp minds, and courageous hearts like yours. So step forward. The future of IR is not just something you can join, it's something that you can also shape. So make yourself important. If you don't have a chair, bring your own chair and make your own table.
Absolutely,
Thank
Epi.
you.
That was beautiful. I think it's about, getting outside our comfort zone as well, isn't it? In the initial
Yes.
days, and we got to push ourselves outside the comfort zone if we want to be there where we want to be in just a couple of,
Yes.
months or weeks. Maybe it doesn't take too long either, isn't
Hmm.
it? That's the highlight that probably people need to understand. But that was beautiful, and I enjoyed every moment of our session together, Epi. Is there anything you would like to say as a final word to us, our audience, as part of our International Women's Day?
In fact, thank you very much for this opportunity. I feel very privileged, to be speaking to you, and hopefully, someone will be, helped with what I said and encouraged. But I would reiterate again: don't suffer in silence. Always find someone to talk to, because someone will surely listen. Even if 99% people don't listen, there will always be that one person that will listen. So please do not just suffer in silence. We are in it together. We are here as professions. We are here to mentor each other and to talk about everything. And last but not least, I would just, ask people to say, seek help, seek help, and seek help. There's a lot of, in my trust, there's a lot of, designated groups like Freedom to Speak Up. There is Equality and Diversity. There are lots of groups. There's the women networks. You know, don't be an isolated island. Just do something, and be partaker of something, you know.
Do
Thank you
not
very
suffer in
much.
silence. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you very
absolutely.
much. Yeah,
Thank you, Epi. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.